17 hours a
17.
day of just non-stop action.
This is a Bachelorette recap from a guy. A lot has changed since we last left each other. I cut my hair. This is a Bachelor recap from a guy. I moved to Chicago.
You gotta see the bean. Go to see the bean. What's up? Go to see the bean.
And Chris Harrison was cut and moved on from the show. This season, there's no Chris Harrison, but even more sad than that, there's no Good Doctor promos. But don't worry, we got the celebrity dating game to pick up the slack. ABC's like, why hasn't there ever been a show hosted by Zooey Deschanel and Michael McDonald? And if you watch the premiere, well, now you know the answer to that.
Oh my God, karaoke is a lifestyle. Freaking love karaoke.
I agree with you.
Mystery celebrity.
Yeah.
You did it.
Mystery celebrity. Mystery celebrity.
Also, with there being no Chris Harrison, the show was hosted by Tayshia and Caitlin Bristow, who I think did a decent job. They're doing fine. But the most uncomfortable part about not having Chris Harrison on the show is we have a new voiceover guy, and his voice is so deep. Like, he sounds like that old movie trailer guy. In a world coming up on The Bachelor.
Next week, the drama continues.
That's next week on The Bachelor.
And lastly, if you're wondering where I was last week, if you remember, I don't recap the first episode. It's too cringy, it's too awkward. I just skip it altogether. So I always start with episode 2. So for their first group date, they held a greatest lover of all time competition. What's a greatest lover of all time competition? I'm glad you hypothetically asked. I mean, it's a good question because I watched the entire thing and I still don't think I could tell you. Like, I know there was a quiz with a lot of questions about the female anatomy that personally I failed miserably, but it's okay because so did the guys. They asked about the woman's largest sex organ,
What's the woman's largest sex organ?
to which every guy answered vagina, which I'm still not entirely sure is wrong.
Vagina, her brain.
But apparently it was the brain.
It is the brain. So congrats.
One of the questions was, what's your favorite sex position? And one guy said wheelbarrow. Is that anyone's favorite sex position? Maybe if like you're in Cirque du Soleil. Like, isn't sex supposed to be enjoyable, not like a partner P90x workout? This group date is where we got our first impression of Carl, who is a motivational speaker. And by that, I mean he motivated me to never listen to him speak ever again.
Suffocate? Did I say suffering? What is that? Suffocate?
Suffocate. You combine them. It's all good.
It's suffering with Katie.
They're
It's
trying to mess with your
suffocating.
mind.
I mean, this guy's a trip.
It's been a long day. What she needs is someone to rock her boat. You guys get what I'm saying? No.
This dude is unique, man. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on. But later in this greatest lover of all time competition, we got some sort of talent show, which, because of course we did. Like, what are the producers' meetings like for The Bachelor? We need an idea, people. We need an idea, all right? What can they do on this group date? What about a talent show?
It's genius. It's genius.
Give him a raise. Jenny, can you make sure we get him a raise? And since Katie might be the most sex-positive bachelorette in show history, we naturally have a Verge on the show. His name's Mike, and he's saving himself for marriage, which I personally think is awesome. And he's doing so without being judgmental of Katie and her lifestyle, which, again, I think is also awesome. So this guy has no idea how to do the hippity or the bippity, if you're catching my drift. So when it came time for his turn to share how their first night of sex would go, he said,
I have no idea what we're doing, but it's a dark room with sex stuff.
No, I'm kidding. He actually said,
I would wait another 31 years to have sex if it was what proved to you that I would sacrifice everything for you to feel loved and secure.
Now, is it just me, or does it always look like Mike is on the verge of crying? His eyes are like amphibians, to where they just always look wet. So naturally, the guy who has never made love wins the world's greatest lover competition.
There can only be one greatest lover of all time, and that person is Mike.
And if you think that was awkward, well, just you wait. Because later, Connor pulled Katie aside to redo their kiss from the first episode. Because if you remember, he was dressed like a cat, and he kissed her the way I would imagine a cat would kiss a human. Let's just say the redo wasn't much better. My man's going 2 hands to the back of the skull. Like, to me, Connor's kissing ability is a lot like the Halloween film franchise. Like, they keep redoing them, even though we kind of wish they wouldn't. And also both are very scary. So then it was time for the first one-on-one date, and this went to a guy named Greg. They went into the wilderness.
What is that?
I don't know. It's my ex-boyfriend.
They kissed while they were on the toilet.
We did make out while he was sitting on the toilet.
But really the only notes I have from this date is that I realized there's not a whole lot of Gregs anymore. To me, a Greg is like an endangered species. I mean, nowadays you got like a lot of Tanners, a lot of Camdens, a lot of Aidens, Ethans. You even got a Courtney, but there's just not enough Gregs in the world. Shout out all my Gregs out there. There just needs to be more Gregs. Hopefully this show brings awareness to the name Greg. And the cool thing about this is Greg's the early front runner. So naturally Greg got the rose, which again, big win for all the Gregs out there. I got you, Gregs. Could this be a resurgence of the name? Who knows? As for the second group date, it was just a bunch of dudes wrestling in the mud, shirtless, which was weird. But not as weird as the old man with the beard standing off to the side watching the whole thing. Like, does anyone know that guy? Like, they never acknowledged that guy. Does anyone know who he is? Is this just what he does? He sets up mud wrestling tournaments with shirtless guys in the middle of the desert. I mean, to each his own, I guess. I mean, look, I break down episodes of The Bachelorette on the internet, so who am I to judge what someone else does for a living? But, like, who was that guy? It was never really addressed. Much like the beef between Cody and Aaron.
Aaron and Cody. Woo!
We know they have beef from the first episode, kind of.
There's tension.
But we're not really sure why. Like, this is the most intel we have on their beef.
Cody and I know each other from back home. I've never been a fan of him, and he knows it. You know, he's not here for the right reason.
To me, this feels like the beef that they would serve you in an elementary school cafeteria. It's like, sure, yeah, like it looks like beef. It resembles beef, but like you're not really sure if it actually is beef. Mainly because no one is being specific about where the beef came from or what makes up this beef. To me, this is more spam than beef. So Aaron tells Katie that Cody's just there on the show to become famous. Which, let me just say this. If you go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette just for fame, then your bar for fame is extremely low. So Katie asks Cody if that's true, and Cody says,
he said that basically you're here for fame.
Yeah, that's probably not the best answer there, Codesters. Like, if someone asks you if they're there for fame, you don't have time to think on that answer. You have to just hit it right away. No, I'm not. You can't be sitting there like... Like, you can't be sitting there doing the Larry David gif. So later in the night, Katie just decides to send Cody homie.
Fortunately, I think it's best for you to go home tonight.
And he's like,
okay.
Like, my man didn't even fight it. So then after Cody gets sent home, all the drama's gone, right? Beef is squashed. Everything can return back to normal. So in walks my man Andrew. And I like Andrew because Andrew's from Chicago, which is now my new hometown. I live here now. I don't know if I mentioned that. I've got a Sears Tower worth of boxes over there. So when Andrew sits down with Katie, he's like, look, I'm here for the right reasons.
I'm definitely here for you. I just want to be there to comfort you, but I also want to, like, put your mind at ease at the same time.
Which I will admit is something someone who was there for the wrong reasons would say. But then he and Katie really bonded after going back and forth about how poor they grew up. He was like, we grew up so poor that we would wash our paper plates. We grew up so poor that my family would eat cereal with a fork just to save milk. We grew up so poor, my mom's face was on a food stamp. We grew up so poor that burglars used to break into our house and leave money. We grew up so poor that when people saw my mom kicking a can down the street and they asked her what she was doing, she said moving. We grew up so poor that we couldn't even afford to pay attention. We grew up so poor Nigerian scammers would send us money. We grew up so poor that if you walked in our front door, you would be in our backyard. We grew up so poor that I can't even put my 2 cents in conversations because that's rent. We grew up so poor that when people would ask to use the bathroom, my mom would say, yeah, 3rd bucket on the left. We grew up so poor that we had to take our trash in. We grew up so poor that when we would have people over for dinner, we would just read them recipes. We grew up so poor that I had 2 TV channels growing up, on and off. We grew up so poor that we couldn't even afford to go to the free clinic. We grew up so poor that when someone would ring our doorbell, my mama would say, ding. Then basically the whole rest of the episode was just guys complaining about right reasons and wrong reasons. Carl, the motivational speaker, made it his mission to weed out the guys who were not there for the right reasons.
I don't know if you ever do have doubts, because I mean, like, looking around, I don't really know if, like, everyone's being 100% transparent.
In the house?
in the house.
Having no proof that anyone else was there for the wrong reasons.
I don't know specifics, like I don't want to really get into details, like without having like all the details, but like I know that there are some people that don't have the best intentions.
He's not 100% that 100% of the guys are there for 100% of the right reasons.
Like everyone's being 100% transparent. I don't believe 100% of the people that are here.
It's like, easy, Tony Robbins, all right? The only motivating you're doing is for Katie to kick you off the show. So naturally, Katie was on the verge of tears. And so was Mike. Then literally the rest of the episode went like this. Who's not here for the right reasons? Because I don't want anyone here for the wrong reasons. I'm here for the right reasons. Is someone here for the wrong reasons? I'm not here for the wrong reasons. I assumed everyone who was here for the right reasons. We have to guard Katie's heart. So if you're here for the wrong reasons, you need to leave. We need to be here for the right reasons. She deserves someone who's here for the right reasons. Wrong reasons. 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 Left reasons? No. Right reasons. Right reasons. So long story short, there was no rose ceremony this week. So who's here for the right reasons?
Find out next week on The Bachelorette.